Hey friends, welcome back to Survivopedia. My name is Jason Salyer, and let's talk about shotguns. "10 yards away with a modified choke, you're looking at about I'd say a hand size spread there. I'm a huge fan of shotguns. If I had to pick one firearm, it'd be really hard for me to not choose a shotgun. If I could just have one the rest of my life, it'd be really tough not to choose a shotgun. It might be my concealed carry Glock 19, perhaps, but you know, for hunting purposes, for acquiring foodstuffs, for home protection, for defending my flock from predators, a shotgun can do everything. It can literally kill a polar bear, and it can barely kill a chipmunk depending on the loads, depending on the chokes, depending on the distances. They're just so versatile, they can do so much, and that's why I love them so much. All right, so again, this is 10 yards. 10 yards with a modified choke, about the size of my hand, give or take. This is 20 yards with the exact same load, exact same choke. This is 2 3/4 inch, number 6, just low brass. And I have pretty much covered my target. And so you can see how fast that shot spreads out just over the course of an extra 10 yards. So we could talk about shotguns, we could talk about different chokes, different patterns, different loads all day. We could make 100 videos and they'd all be an hour long on shotguns. And that's one of the reasons why I like them so much, because again, they're just so dang versatile. They can do everything. So I always recommend a shotgun that has interchangeable chokes. And what does that mean? If you're new to shotguns, you probably don't have a clue what I'm talking about. But a choke is basically restricting the flow, right? Restricting the flow out of the end of the barrel. A cylinder bore is essentially a straight tube, right? This is a 12 gauge shotgun. And a cylinder bore 12 gauge shotgun is a straight tube. It's the same diameter from the very beginning all the way to the end. But if you put a choke tube in it, like this one, for example, this is a turkey choke, which is an extra full. What it does is it closes up the end of the barrel, just the last couple inches, just right here, basically. This also lengthens the barrel a smidge, but it closes up that hole, that opening at the very end, and it restricts the shot as it comes out of the end of the barrel, and it keeps it in a tighter pattern. The more open that is, the wider your shot spread, the wider your pattern is going to be. But with something like this, I'll show you, if I change this out, I'll show you the difference. The same distance, 20 yards with the same load, same shotgun. Obviously, make sure your shotgun is unloaded. It's on safe. Breech is open. As safe as you can possibly make the thing before you do something like this. They make tools to remove and tighten these in there, but I found just finger tight is effective enough. All right, so here's the difference, right? So my pattern is much tighter with that extra full choke at 20 yards. So same load, same distance, 20 yards, same gun. All I did was change the choke out, and it squeezed that group of pellets much tighter than this loosey-goosey pattern that pretty much covered my entire paper. So I went from maybe, you know, a 12-inch spread here, something like that, to a 24-inch spread, 1.5 spread, something like that. And that is the difference. And the same rule applies with whatever shot that you're using, whether it be buckshot or all the way down to the tiniest number 8s or whatever. The same principle applies. Slugs are another amazing thing. Brutally devastating option with a shotgun. Don't go any tighter than a modified choke with slugs. I've shot them out of full chokes before, but it's not recommended because you got to squeeze that big chunk of solid lead down pretty tight to get through a full choke. So I wouldn't recommend that. Modified is as small as I would go. This is a 12 gauge slug. This is a 2 3/4 inch, nothing fancy. Some people call them Foster slugs, but it's just a rifled slug, and it's made of 1 ounce of solid lead. And when I say rifled slug, the slug itself has some rifling on it. Some people say that's for stability of the slug. Some people say it just allows it to get squeezed through the choke a little bit better. It allows you to shoot through a modified choke without damaging the gun or smushing the slug so badly that it doesn't fly straight. And they're pretty accurate for a smooth bore shotgun with no rifling in it. A regular old rifled slug, 1 ounce slug, does a pretty amazing job of being accurate. And I'll show you what I mean. I'll back out to 50 yards and I'll see if I can get a target, get lead on target here. Get at it. All right, so I was aiming right here, and at 50 yards, that's where my slug hit. That is 1 ounce of lead flying at 1,600 feet per second out of a smooth bore 12 gauge. And I mean, I don't know, you tell me what you think. And that's just a single front bead right here. There's no rear sight. So I'm just using this rail. That's why I prefer barrels like this instead of the home defense barrels, because it gives you, I mean, I basically use this as the rear sight. I line everything up. I sight down this rail and I put that bead on whatever I want to hit, and I'll hit it. So I call that pretty dang good for not practicing. I haven't shot my shotgun since, geez, last hunting season, since the fall. Yeah, it's been a while since I've shot. No practice, none of that, just a cold shot basically at 50 yards. And I am definitely in the kill zone on whatever large creature you want to be shooting at. I think that's pretty awesome accuracy. No rifle. I don't understand. The only reason that the rifled shotgun, the rifled barreled shotgun exists is I think for legal reasons, where you can only hunt with shotguns and bows. You can't hunt with rifles of some sort. So I think that's the only, other than that, I just don't see a need for it. I don't think I'd get any better grouping with a rifled shotgun barrel at 50 yards. That's probably as good as I would get. Managing the recoil, anticipating the recoil is definitely a thing. It definitely takes some practice. But the main point that I'm trying to get at here is that the versatility of a shotgun is overwhelming. You could talk about it for days and days and days and never be done with the conversation. But you do have to aim. Again, this is 10 yards with a fairly open choke, a modified choke. I could very easily miss my target by a significant amount if I don't aim. You just can't point and spray. You have to use that front bead. But if you put that front bead on whatever it is you're after, it's going to get the job done. Even birdshot here, number 6. At 10 yards with it, like say inside of a home for self-defense reasons, at 10 yards birdshot is devastating. It will knock down anything that comes through the door, guaranteed. I only stockpile 3 types of ammunition for the most part for my shotgun. I stockpile slugs, obviously, for big game and longer range shots. I stockpile double-aught buck, which we'll talk about here in just a second. I'll fire off a couple so you can see what that looks like. And I stockpile number 6 low brass. Number 6 low brass works for everything. You can hunt every small game around here where I live with number 6 low brass. The only exception is turkeys, and that's where I'll up it to a 3-inch Magnum. The shell's just a little bit longer, holds a little bit more shot, a little bit more powder. You can reach out a little bit further in and knock down bigger birds. But so that's pretty much the only exception. So number 6, double-aught buck, and slugs. Those 3 things will do everything that you could need a shotgun to do. And if you can't tell already, I'm a huge fan of shotguns. I think that they are just, man, they're so versatile and they're so fun to shoot. You're flinging a whole lot of lead down range, and it's just like, it's invigorating. It's like freedom, you know what I mean? Well, maybe you don't know what I mean, but I love it. If you ever want to know what kind of spray paint to get, do not buy this. This stuff is awful. So for comparative purposes, you saw what it did to the steel, right? I'll show you exactly the same distance, same everything with, let's say, a 9mm handgun. Pales in comparison when it comes to power, right? I know it's not an exact comparison, but a double-aught buck, not regular standard 2 3/4, 9 pellets. It's sending 9 pellets out the end of that barrel at one time, at one go, and they're all impacting your target at the right range. Obviously, if you back up too far, you'll get such a huge spread. Maybe only a couple pellets will hit, but still, it's comparable to getting hit with a pistol 9 times at exactly the same time. Devastating. Stupid paint. That's what it's good for. All right. All right, guys. Hey, I really do appreciate you watching. Thanks so much. I'm a huge shotgun fan, as you could probably tell. The versatility, the power, the freedom is all amazing. This is a Mossberg 500, by the way. It is a turkey edition. When I was looking for a all-around versatile firearm, I wanted something that I could use for everything. Hunting purposes, home defense reasons, whether that be from 2-legged or 4-legged predators. I wanted to make sure I could get it done. And this is a 12-gauge Mossberg 500 with a 24-inch long ported. Ported means it's got some holes here. Holes here on the end of the barrel. And that shoots the gases out the top, out the left and right side. And that is to help with a little bit of recoil. But I mean, they do, the downside to shotguns is round count. It doesn't hold very many. This one holds 5 plus 1, so 5 in the tube plus 1 in the chamber. And you're going to be limited on round count, so there is that. I also chose a Mossberg 500 because I'm a lefty. And most shotguns, for example, like your Remington 870s, are going to have a safety that's on the trigger guard here. And for a lefty, that is not ideal. This is very ambidextrous, having the safety right here where your thumb is. And it makes sense. All shotguns should have their safety right there. That is where God intended it to be. I like pump action shotguns like this one over a semi-automatic, because a semi-automatic is not as versatile because it won't cycle a lot of the weaker loads without modifications to springs and all kinds of stuff like that. They're a little bit pickier, at least in my experience. Even the nicest, highest end shotguns sometimes won't cycle lighter loads. So I like a pump action for that reason. But yeah, this is it, man. I really do appreciate you guys watching. If you have questions about shotguns, make sure you put them in the comments. I could talk about shotguns for days, so love to chat with you about it. Leave it in the comments. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and we will see you